All right, this is the last three problems on the Unit 9 test review. Number 20, 21, and 22. I'll go through with this information that you're given from this experiment. So it says, in an experiment with the apparatus shown, the plunger is used to compress helium gas to different volumes. The corresponding volume and pressures, which are in arbitrary units, are measured and displayed in the chart. Now, since it says arbitrary units, that means that you can't use the formulas to find this. Because they're not correct units, okay? All right, which means that you're going to have to answer these questions just using some common sense and thinking about what you need to do here. All right, so if we look at our data table, number 20 says, which action or actions would be helpful in organizing and analyzing the data contained in the data table? All right, so if we look at our data table here, our volume goes 12.8, then 27.0, 35.1, then 40.0, and then back down to 22.6. And then our pressures follow as well. So one of the things that would be helpful is to have your volumes actually in order, which they're not in this table. All right, so it's always helpful to have your data in order so you can actually look at trends. So that's the first thing that needs to happen here. And then it would be helpful to actually see this graphed out so you could kind of look at what's happening with your data. All right, so if we look at our volume, we're going from basically 12 up to 40. So if we put volume on the x-axis, which I gave you guys some graph paper here so that you could actually do this. If we try and figure out how many spaces we've got here, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 on here. Okay, so if we do 10, 20, 30, 40, we can go by 5s. I don't think we'll have enough room if we go by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 3. Yeah, we'll run out of room. So we need to go by 5s. All right, which means that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And then our pressure, we're going from, if you look on this, we've got 12.9 all the way up to 40.2. I think we've got the same number of squares going up here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, even less, we got 15. So we're going to definitely need to go by 10s here for this one as well. So this is our pressure, and 10, oops, write that a little bit better here. Write this a little bit better. It's hard to write with this stylus, guys, and get it right on the line. 10, 20, I can't wait till I actually try and put points on here. I'm having so much difficulty doing just this. Alright, that's plenty there. Alright, so our first volume is 12.8 and our pressure is 40.2. So 12.8, if we look here, this line right here is 10, that's 15. 12.8 would be really close to 13, which is going to be a little bit over halfway here. And then we need to go up to 40.2. 40.2 is going to be like just above the 40 line. So let's see if I can actually put that in there where it belongs. Do my best. Anyways. That is not where I want it. I can tell this is going to be a challenge. I may not be able to graph this for you guys. But I'll try. Now, that's about as close as it's going to get. Alright, and then our next volume is actually the last volume that we're given, the 22.6. and our pressure is 22.8. So 22, really close to 23, 22, 23. Okay, so we come over here, 22.6, so we're going to be before 25, so we're kind of here in the middle here this way, and then 22.8, again, that's really close to 23, so we're kind of like right in the middle of that box there, if I can actually get it in the middle of that box there. Sort of. All right. Then our next one is 27 and 19.1. All right, so 27 is going to be in between 25 and 30. So now we're kind of in the middle of this square here. And then 19 is going to be just a little bit below 20. So we're kind of up towards the top here. Something like that. And then the next number is 35.1 and 14.7. So 35.1, thank goodness, we're almost like right on this line here. That's pretty easy to graph. And then 14.7 is really close to 15. So you're kind of right up in that corner right there. Something like that. And then the last number is 40 and 12.9. So 40 is easy to graph because that's right on the line. 12.9 is very close to 13, which means, you know, we're kind of right here in the middle. If I can get that on there. Something like that. And I apologize for the ugly dots, guys. It's just very hard to graph on that little graph paper with this stylus. All right. So let's look back down at these questions here. Which action or actions would be helpful in organizing and analyzing the data contained in the data table? All right. Well, we already talked about that we would want to put the data table so that it's in order because this last number is kind of out of order here. And then as far as analyzing the data, it's very helpful to do a graph so you can see what's happening trend-wise with your data here. So then you'd want to look at your graph to see if any of your points look like they're out of place, which actually, you know, even though this is not the perfect graph here, I think it did a pretty decent job of showing that inverse curve, which means that all of those things are a good thing to do. Best characterizes the data in the chart above. All right, well, we know that this is pressure and volume, so even if you didn't do the graph, or even if you couldn't see from the numbers that the pressure is going down as the volume is going up, you should remember that pressure and volume is Boyle's law, which means that they're inversely related. So as we look at our volume, if it decreases, the pressure increases, or vice versa. As the volume increases, the pressure decreases. So that is answer choice C. Now, number 22. Looking at the data above, the best estimate for pressure if the volume is compressed to 10. All right, well, this is where the graph comes in really handy because if we look at 10, that's just a little bit past where we actually already have a data point at 40. So if we were to kind of draw a curve in here for this, which I will attempt to do, I don't know how good this is going to work, but I will try. That's not too bad. All right. We can see that it needs to curve a little bit more. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to curve that a little bit more. It's just very difficult to do with a stylus. Something like that. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I missed that dot. That's why I was saying it needs to curve a little bit more. But if we look at 10, we can see that it's obviously all right, if we're getting rid of wrong answer choices, it's obviously not going to be A, the 3.23, because it's it increases as the volume decreases. So we know it's definitely got to be higher than our last pressure amount, which was 40.2. And we know this is an inverse curve, so we know that it's going to go up quite a bit as the pressure increases. So we know it can't be 40.3 either, because that's almost the same thing as 40.2. And we know that this is going to curve up. So then the next question is it 51.6 or is it 80.4? All right, so if we look at the curve that we have here, that we have drawn at this graph, you can see that it is much closer to the 51.6 than it is to the 80.4. And if you look at the data, disregarding the graph, but if you look at the data, and you kind of look at your differences here between your numbers, the 22.6 and the 12.8, and then we go from 22.8 to 40, 22 to 12, that's almost 10 units difference in volume, and 12.8 down to 10 would not be 10 units difference in volume. So we would know that we would need to just go up a bit as far as our pressure goes. So that's why the 51.6 makes more sense than the 80.4. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody and that helps you out. And that is the end of the Unit 9 test review. So good luck for your test.